What's going on, guys? I am Toxic Jordan. Welcome back to the channel. So the wait is finally over here. They bled us for a very long time, and they made us wait all the way until the end of the anniversary here. But we have finally got the EZAs announced for the 7th anniversary Part 1 LRs. So this is, I'm assuming, going to be a very, exciting next, 20 minutes here, probably, that'll take us to go over these kits. I can't imagine that they have flopped these guys. These are probably going to be some of the best units in the game here. So let's go ahead and take a look. I have tried to avoid spoilers. These kits did release last night, I guess probably like a solid, almost 8 hours ago from when I'm posting this. Something like that. But yeah, I have attempted to avoid spoilers about their kits. I did hear one thing about the leader skills, but other than that, I don't really know anything yet. So we'll go ahead and jump in and take a look and see what these guys look like. I guess we'll go ahead and take a look at GOGETA first, and then we'll take a look at the LR gods, right? Okay, so very first thing I wanted to address is the leader skills. So it looks like they basically didn't update it. So the only actual difference between the updated leader skill and the current leader skill they have now is the one extra key that they get for the Kamehameha characters. But as you can see, it's still 170% stats in base, and then the extra 30% for the Kamehameha category. So it looks like maybe they are a little bit hesitant about buffing those up right away, which does make sense because they did just add the 220% leaders into the meta, and I actually do like this as a concept because something that they did, when they originally added these guys into the game, remember that during the part 1 of the 7th anniversary, that was when we saw 200% leader skills for the very first time, right? Well, what followed that was countless cards releasing after that had 200% leader skills, and after a solid 6 months of that happening in a row, it kind of invalidated a lot of the game, and a lot of the cards that had released just prior to the 7th anniversary, like the AGL Dokkan Fest Trunks, the physical Super Saiyan 2 Goku, and STR Kid Buu Dual Dokkan Fest that released for Golden Week. Those kind of cards that were just preceding the 7th anniversary saw a lot of power creep and never really had a solid chance in the meta, just because the leader skills had moved on without those cards, right? So it would be a shame to see the same thing happen to, some of the more recent, 200% leaders if we had just moved on to this 220% meta, right? So I guess it makes sense that at least for EZAs, they're not going to be doing that, especially considering there's a lot of cards that have been EZAing that had 170% leader skills, and we haven't been seeing those go up to 200%. But a lot of the time they do give those buffs up to 180%, things like that for Dokkan Fest, EZAs. So I would have expected to see some kind of stat increase here, but I guess that's not their plan at this point, which is totally fine, I suppose. Okay, really quick, before we read into the passive or anything, I want to take a look at the super attack effects here. Okay, what do we got? Why is that highlighted like this? Okay. So we get greatly raising attack and defense on both 12 key and 18 key super, which does make a lot of sense to me. It's what they were doing before. They're getting the whole permanent stacking, buffs and everything. So that is going to be, something expected. I can imagine that with all of the long-form content, these guys are going to be quite nasty because historically they have been stackers, right? They do kind of operate the same way as the new 10th anniversary Dokkan Fest LRs, right? Where they are going to be stacking up permanently, and then, when they eventually transform into their final states, they're going to look massively impressive, right? Okay, so let's go ahead and jump into this passive here. Okay, so for the entrance animation, we are getting 77% damage reduction, launches an additional super attack for 1 turn. Wow, okay. Interesting. And then they get key 2 and 100% stats and guards for 7 turns. That's really good. Okay, so for the first turn, when this guy comes out, he's going to get Just straight up 77% damage reduction in guard? And a guaranteed additional? While greatly stacking defense. That's pretty nasty. He's basically gonna be invincible turn 1, I would assume. Yeah, probably. Wow, that's really good. Okay. And then, okay, so he's got 200% stats in base, and then he receives an additional 2 key per type key sphere obtained. All right. And then for every key sphere obtained, he is getting an additional 10% stats up to 77%. And then for every rainbow key sphere obtained, he's getting 10% chance to crit. Okay, when attacking with 17 or more key, he launches a guaranteed additional. And then when attacking with 20 or more key, attacks are effective against all types. And he launches another guaranteed additional? Whoa, that's really good. Okay, so he has an extra key collecting mechanic here, 2 extra key per type key sphere. That's going to be that means it's going to be very, very easy to get this guy to 24 key, right? Or he doesn't even have to be at 24 key. It's literally just 20 key. That's going to be almost impossible not to get, especially because of the extra key that he's now getting from his leader skill. So if you're running him on his own team, he's already going to have 8 key before even getting key from links at the beginning of the turn, right? And then for 7 turns, he gets the 2 extra key here. So yeah, he's already at 10 key without any links. And then I imagine beyond the links, he's going to be already close to that 18 key super. You're not going to have to select that many orbs to get him over 20, and he's getting the extra 2 per key sphere obtained. So that is quite impressive. And even if you're unable to get you know, enough rainbow orbs to make this crit chance proc here, it's not really going to matter, because if you're over 20 key anyway, he's still going to have a top attacks effective against all types, so you don't really need the crit. That's super nasty. Wow, I can't believe that turn 1, this guy's just going to be doing 4 guaranteed additional supers, basically. Or, I guess, 4 guaranteed supers, because it would be 3 additionals, right? Yeah, wow. Okay, that is really good. And I would have expected nothing less there. That is pretty insane. My hunch right away is to say that he's probably better in base than any of the new 10th anniversary headliners. Yeah. Well, I guess not the Super Saiyan 2 Gohan, right? Because he doesn't really change at all. He just is what he is right up front. But yeah, everybody else. I mean, I suppose the Super Saiyan Blue Evolution Vegeta doesn't change either, but this is definitely better than that kit, right? So yeah, I would say he is better than all of them in base. In base is the main thing, right? Because obviously once the Gogeta and Vegito do transform, then they do outclass this by quite a bit, right? Okay, interesting. I guess let's go ahead and take a look at his fusion here. Okay, here we go. Oh, I guess, does it show us the transformation condition? Those do never change, but I can't quite remember what it is. Yeah, they usually don't show it off. Here, give me one moment. We'll pull up the card details on the side here. Okay, here, so the activation condition from the 4th turn of battle. Pretty simple condition, right? Definitely nothing too bad there. Yeah, I mean, actually, that is understating it. This is actually a very good transformation condition. This is definitely the type of thing you like to see, right? Okay, yeah, so turn 4 there, and then, yeah, I guess I can show off, if we take a look at the leader skill, he had the 170 stats, and then it was just the additional 30%, but now he has the 1 key here, right, as well. Okay, so heading back over, now let's go ahead and take a look at the transformed version of the kit. So before we get into the passive, let's take a look at the super attack effects. So we are massively raising attack and greatly raising attack for 1 turn. Okay, so this goes down to a 1 turn instead of infinitely stacking, which makes sense. And then it looks like for the 18 key super, he's going to be massively raising attack and defense for 4 turns. Wonderful, wonderful. That is quite nutty. So he even does still have the ability to stack a little bit more. Even once he's transformed, right? And then he also has the attack break on there too, which is really, really solid. Okay. All right, here we go. Okay, so, oh, great. So the damage reduction comes back. So on turn 1, you're going to have the 77% damage reduction, and then also on turn 4, or I guess the first turn that you transform him, right? Which could be turn 5 or whatever as well. Then he gets that 77% damage reduction again. He's got 300% stats in base. He receives an additional 2 key per key sphere obtained, same deal as before. Now the attacks effective against all types is not locked behind that 20 key condition, but it's just, he just gets it, and he has guard. Okay, and then he has 50% chance to crit here. Just gets a guaranteed additional super and a guaranteed scouter. What? What is this? Is there anything he doesn't do? Well, turn 1 when this guy comes out. This is what invincibility looks like. 77% damage reduction, 300% defense, and guard. Wow, I'm stunned by that. That is very impressive. And then he has the scouter as well. Helps, right? Knowing exactly where that super attack is going to be on whatever given turn. Oh my goodness, that is crazy. That is so good. Okay, so for 4 turns from the character's entry here, he's going to get Rainbow Orb changing. Okay, makes sense. And then for every key sphere obtained, he gets 10% stats up to 100. That doesn't say... This doesn't say within a turn. This just says for every key sphere obtained. So I think that that's a permanent stack, which 10 key spheres you're possibly going to get in one. Well, maybe not. Maybe not in 1 turn. Maybe like in 2 turns. So you're probably going to have those stats built up within 2 turns of him being there, which makes sense. In base, he also has the additional stats that build up, just because that extra damage reduction does fall off. So they give him a little bit more stacking from the super attack effects, and then stacking from the passive, which helps buff his defense up enough so that it can help replace the damage reduction here. So I guess that makes sense. Okay, and then for every rainbow key sphere obtained, chance to perform a crit and damage reduction 10%. Oh, wow. Okay, wow. All right, so then, yeah, no, he actually is invincible turn 1 when he comes out, because he has 77% stats here. So as long as you get 3 rainbow key spheres, he literally has 100% damage reduction, which turns him into Jiren's standby, right? Where he literally has he can't be touched. There's no way to damage that. There's no bosses in the game that do anything to damage reduction. Damage reduction is absolutely, like, the perfect ability, right? Because we have dodge canceling bosses that can remove your 100% chance to dodge by just making it impossible for you to dodge attacks, but there's nothing that they ever do about damage reduction. That's just like a perfect ability, right? Wow, this guy is so nuts. That's crazy. Okay, so when activating his active skill or when 24 key, he gets an additional 50% attack. That is nice. That's going to definitely be cool to see how much that affects his kit. That is decently small. Because that's such a small buff. Well, okay, it's because he has the massively raising attack, super attack effect thing. That's probably why these numbers are so low. They're still going to look very impressive because of that massive, damage modifier. Okay, and then when receiving an attack, he gets damage reduction 50%. What is this, dude? So much damage reduction. Oh my goodness. Damage reduction 50% within the turn when HP is 50% or less. Okay. I guess that's solid, right? Because if we consider he only has this 77% for 1 turn. This is the same ability that is on the Int Goku and Frieza. Yeah, let me pull up that card as well here. Let's take a look. Should be on just the very first page. Yeah, this guy right here. So when this right here. When receiving an attack, when damage reduction rate 50%, when HP is 77% or less. This ability does proc mid-turn. So if you are at 100% defense, or 100% HP, my apologies, and then you take an attack, and then you get hit really hard, so now you're below 50% HP, or I guess with this guy, below 77% HP, then immediately this ability will activate, and now for the remainder of the hits for that turn, you will have this 50% damage reduction active. That is how this operates. So yeah, this looks exactly the same as that. So yeah, that's basically how that's going to work. This can proc mid-turn for you. So basically, anytime this guy is taking a hit below 50% HP, he's going to get this free 50% damage reduction. That is wonderful. That is very, very good. Okay, let's see here. So, oh, but I guess the one downside of that kind of ability is that if you start the turn at 50% HP, like less than that, and then you select key spheres or get some kind of healing ability or whatever, you know, throughout the turn that allows you to go above 50% HP, then he will lose this ability as well, right? So it does work in reverse on top of that. Okay, and then when receiving a super attack, he has a great chance to nullify and count. Whoa, a great chance? That used to be a medium chance, right? Hello? Where's the, oh. Oh, okay, it was a high chance before, and they buffed that up to a great chance. That is really good. So he's got a 70% wait. He's got a permanent scouter and a 70% chance to counter any super attack? Is this guy just number one? Is this just the best unit in the game? That's... What is this kit? This is so broken. Okay, that's... Wow, okay, and then he guaranteed nullifies the super and counters with tremendous power when facing only one enemy, and that enemy's HP is 50% or less. Okay, sure. Wow, what does this guy not do? That is insane. Yeah, this kit is pretty unstoppable. I guess the one thing I do want to consider is kind of look back through this really quick, ignoring this piece right here, because he is only going to have this damage reduction for one turn. And as we have been talking about, long-form content is the meta right now. There's so many long-form content stages that are very difficult. So this 77% damage reduction is not going to be the end-all be-all. I suppose unless you wait until the very final turn of the fight to transform him into Gogeta. But given all of the other benefits of this kit, I probably wouldn't say that's a good idea. Obviously, he is going to be getting the permanent stacks in his base form, so you are going to want to try and leave him there. Like, you do operate this kit kind of the same way you operate the new, like, 10th anniversary LR Vegeta and Gogeta, right? You keep them in base as long as you possibly can, so that they can be stacking up, and then, you know, at a certain point, you're going to transform them, and then dish out all these amazing attacks with their, you know, final form. But the difference with this kit versus the 10th anniversary LRs is that the 10th Annie LRs have stats and, you know, guard and things like that fall off of their kit after a couple of turns, right? They have their entrance animation only lasts 3 turns, whereas this guy, I mean, he does have the entrance animation in base that gives him that same 77% damage reduction, but this lasts 7 turns. These extra stats he gets is 7 turns. And then once he is losing that, I mean, I guess, yeah, then he'll lose guard, and that is kind of big, right? Because then he would just be relying on stats from that point. So I guess if his stats were high enough, he wouldn't really need anything else, but we will have to use him first to see how that looks. I would assume that based on the way this kit is built, by turn 7, his stats are not going to be quite high enough to just rely on stats alone, and losing that guard is going to hurt him a little bit, and at that point you would want to transform. So rather than being forced to transform them on like turn 3, turn 4, you're going to have the ability to hold them in base all the way until turn 7, which is really good. So in that case, you potentially could see, you know, turn 8 being the last phase of the fight, and then you could bring this guy out and have it be the very last turn and have that 77% damage reduction. But in the off chance that you do continue on in the fight longer than this would be active, just considering the rest here. So let's take a look at all the stats. You'll have this 100% fully built up here. So he's going to have 400% base stats on top of all of the you know, stats that he had from his base form rolling over, and then on top of the great defense raise or massive defense raise that you get from the 18 key super, right? And then, yeah, this is the really big part too, right? For every rainbow key sphere obtained, he's getting 10% damage reduction, and he's a rainbow key sphere changer. That's so big. That is so big here. Let's see. Yeah, that's kind of nutty. Let's see. He's giving himself an extra 2 key per key sphere obtained, but it's not per rainbow key sphere obtained. So it's not going to prioritize. So I did learn something interesting about these abilities here. When they say receives an additional key per key sphere obtained or whatever, this is their way of counterbalancing the one of the big notorious problems with the key sphere selection, right? When you're selecting key spheres on the field, sometimes when you have a rainbow key sphere involved, it doesn't allow you to path, like, it doesn't allow you to path the way that you want to path, right? Sometimes when you go to select whatever key spheres, you're assuming it's going to select a different set of key spheres that would actually give you a bigger benefit for the character's kit, but instead it just calculates whatever's going to gift the most amount of key spheres to that character, which sometimes isn't relevant, right? Because for this character, for example, we're looking for specifically rainbow key spheres, right? So if there is a way where we could select 5 rainbow key spheres, sometimes it's only going to give you 4 rainbow key spheres and then off to give you a couple of type key spheres instead, which is probably what's going to happen to this guy because of this here, because he does receive that additional key per key sphere obtained. So this would have been the only way this could have gotten like better here is if this was additional key per rainbow key sphere obtained, because then this damage reduction would be proccing even easier because it would be prioritizing the rainbow key sphere selection for you, right? So that's one thing to consider. But with everything else he's got, like legitimately, regardless of all of this other stuff, he's got the Scouter and the great chance to nullify. And then if the enemy is under 50%, he just nullifies it. That's wow. Like, wow. Okay, I'm stunned by this. This is insane. If the gods are even close to this good, like, I'm gonna faint. Okay, let's go ahead and jump in and take a look at them now. Okay, briefly look at the super attack effects. So, greatly raising attack and defense on both. Yeah, makes sense, makes sense. Okay, and then, yeah, same deal. So, it looks like the leader skill has not gone up other than the 1 extra key here. Okay. Alright, so same deal, he's got the, I mean, and I'm gonna be expecting this kit to look very much the same as the other one, right? This is what happened when they initially released. They do have a very similar kit skeleton. The one thing, though, is that the GOGETA is based around damage reduction, and as we saw, that guy has an amazing amount of damage reduction. This kit has always been based around dodge. So we'll see this if this is going to be like the new best dodging unit in the game, making him like effectively one of the best slot 1 units. We'll see. We'll see. Okay, so 77% damage reduction for 1 turn, and then he gets the, yep, these stats are exactly the same in the guard for 7 turns. Okay. So he's got 200% stats in base, same deal. Receives, yeah, the 2 key per type key sphere, same thing. He's getting, okay, up to 77% stats for every key sphere obtained. Alright, and then for every rainbow key sphere, he's getting the 10% crit chance. And then launches an additional super with 17 key, launches another additional... Is this the exact same kit as the other one in base? It's basically exactly the same, right? I actually need to go double check. I'm pretty sure that's the exact same thing. Yeah. It's literally the same kit. Okay. Alright, so they do the same thing in base. Okay, not too bad here. Yeah, they literally have, like, copy-paste the exact same thing. The only difference about their kits is... Well, I mean, the passive is exactly the same. It's just, like, the leader skill is slightly different and the links and whatnot, right? Okay, good stuff. Then I guess let's go ahead and take a look at the transformed part. We don't really need to spend too much time there. Okay, so same deal. He is getting the 77% damage reduction for 1 turn. The 300% stats in base, the additional key per key sphere, attacks effective against all types, the permanent guard, high chance to crit. Okay, here we go. And then medium chance to evade, and changes int key spheres into rainbow. Okay. So yeah, this is where we start to change things up. Yeah, so they didn't have any dodging stuff in their kit prior to transforming. Interesting. But yeah, then they get the medium. This is only a medium chance, though. That's 30%. We'll see how this stuff stacks with the rest of the kit here. Let's keep reading. Okay, for 4 turns, randomly change key spheres of a certain type to rainbow. Wait. But then he has this, too. Oh, so, okay, so he's double rainbow key sphere changing. So he's going to be changing it to rainbow, and then another type key sphere to rainbow as well. But that will be for 4 turns, right? Okay, and then for every key sphere obtained, he's got the 100% stats. That's the same thing as the GOGETA kit. Okay, and then for every rainbow key sphere obtained, chance to perform a crit, and chance to evade 10%. Okay, yeah. So, okay, that makes sense. They didn't want to give that double rainbow key sphere changing to Gogeta because getting that extra damage reduction is so big for him, right? And had they given him the double rainbow orb changing, it's going to be even easier for him to select, 4 rainbow key spheres basically every turn, right? But with this guy getting 4 rainbow key spheres, he's not getting an additional 40% damage reduction. He would only be getting 40% evasion chance, which isn't quite as good, especially if you consider he's only got the 30% here. So if you are maxing him out with that 4 rainbow key spheres selected, then he'll be at 70% dodge, which is, some kits have that just in base, right? The new Super Saiyan 3 Grade 8 Goku has 70% dodge in base, right? You've got AGL UI Goku has 77% dodge, and then it just goes up with every attack he dodges, right? So that is not, too amazing, I guess. But it's nice that it's there. Okay, let's keep reading on. And then with 7 or more key spheres obtained, he launches an additional super. When attacking with 20 or more key spheres, launches another additional super. 50% stats when key is 24, and then when... Oh. Wait. And then when attacking, he just launches another additional? Is that the end of the kit there? Oh, it keeps going. Okay, sorry. So when attacking... He performs... Oh, when the enemy's HP is 50% or more, then he gets another guaranteed additional, and then guaranteed crit. Okay, I suppose... Meh. Okay. When receiving an attack, he has guaranteed evasion when HP is 50% or less. Okay, so that's the real kicker, right? Both of these units are invincible if the enemy's HP is 50% or less. That's where it gets very big for them, right? Okay, but he has the guaranteed crit right here, which is also a bit of a redundancy with the high chance to crit up here. So that's something that... Because the Gogeta had... stacking... He's got the guard here, or what was it? Yeah, the damage reduction. Because he has guard up here. Oh, yeah, the gods don't have guard. Or did they? Am I just misremembering? Let me see here. There's so many pieces to this kit. Okay, they do have the guard. Yeah, well, that's just a little bit weird that they have the crit here, but then they also just get the guaranteed crit there at the bottom. I mean, I guess it's nice that I'll have it, but it is just a little bit redundant. Okay, so yeah, the biggest thing to note about this kit is there's no damage reduction anywhere within it. Because of that, my immediate hunch is to say that the Gogeta is better. Oh, I suppose we didn't glance at the super attack effects, but it's the same... Yeah, it's the same deal as the Gogeta here. I mean, they do have the attack disable on 18 key, which is nice. I think, okay, so here's one thing that I was kind of talking about with the... They're going to be maxed out at 4 rainbow key spheres because they get this here, right? The 2 extra key spheres per key sphere obtained, but not per rainbow key sphere obtained, which means it's very unlikely that you're ever going to be able to get 5, even with the double rainbow orb changing, right? So yeah, it looks like they're going to be at about 70% dodge, which is good, but it seems like this unit is going to have the possibility to get caught, especially on a turn where you get really unlucky with your rainbow orb changing. Or, like, let's say you don't have this unit in slot 1 or even slot 2, and then, you know, you select a lot of orbs first, and the board just looks bad by the time you're selecting key spheres with them. It's possible that this unit could get caught. He still looks very, very good, but I think that the GOGETA is probably a little bit better. Yeah, interesting. Okay. All right. Oh, the other thing I didn't even cover here with either of these units is their active skills, right? Because they do have an active skill once they transform. This is, I hate this. I hate Dokkan Battle Twitter and release so much for this. What they like to do with these kits is they're only showing us the things that are new, right? If anything stays the same in their kit, which the active skill activation effect and the active skill like effect itself, neither of those things change usually with EZAs. So yeah, they don't even show them on these kits, and so we have to go look up the old card to see them. But I think that they do mesh well with like the 50% HP and like enemy HP restrictions and stuff. Let's go take a look at those really quick just to refresh ourselves. It's been a while since I've used these guys. Where are we looking here? Okay, active skills. So the condition can be activated when HP is 50% or less, or when facing an enemy, one enemy whose HP is 50% or less. Okay, so then causes ultimate damage and crits for the turn. Very, very simple effect there. And then for the gods, I believe same deal, right? Can be activated with 50% or less, blah, 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 and has the exact same effect. Okay, so I suppose that's nice. Let's take a quick moment to think about this. I think this actually works really well for GOGETA, right? So if we go look at GOGETA here, okay, let's go with the assumption that the enemy's HP is less than 50%. Then you're gonna already be nullifying and countering whatever super attack they have. So if you launch the active skill on that turn, then you're gonna guaranteed crit with the nullification and counter. So that's good, I guess. And then if you proc the active skill because your own HP is below 50%, then he's already going to have the 50% damage reduction because of that. But then launching the active skill could potentially get the enemy's HP below 50%, which is going to proc this final piece of his kit, right? And then same thing with the gods. Yeah, so that's really good. If you do have a turn where, you know, the enemy is at like 70% HP or something like that, but then they're walloping on you a little bit and your HP happens to be below 50%, then that's going to be huge for these guys, right? Because they will be able to use the active skill, which may potentially pull the enemy below 50% HP, and then they both are invincible, right? So that could be very, very interesting to see happen. Okay, well, yeah, overall, I'm pretty excited for these guys. I think they look very solid. Let me know which of the two you are more excited for. For me, it's definitely the GOGETA here. This kit is unbelievable. I genuinely think this might be number 1. He might be the best unit in the game. It's possible. It's possible. We'll have to wait and try him out and see how he looks, but I'm pretty sure this guy could be number 1 in the game. Okay, well, I think that is everything we've got to go over with these kits here. Super excited to see them in game. It probably should just be like another day, I think, for them to release. They've been releasing most content at like 9 p.m., so I think maybe 9 p.m. on the 26th would probably be when they drop. So yeah, stay tuned for that EZA, but it is coming very soon. The 7th anniversary LRs are back, baby!